BATJAC JW here, Wilson Combat CQB, right here, the 1911 that I've bought and had for a while now. And is it worth it? Was it worth the money? These things are a substantial amount of money. It's like taking it to the next level when you are into 1911s, like I am certainly into them. This is certainly next level kind of stuff, taking it all the way to the top, everything like that. Had it for some time. I've put a lot of rounds downrange with it and been loving it, and all the stuff that pretty much the way it is, the way it's set up, I absolutely love the gun. The only thing that I guess I would say that I'm not thrilled about is I think that the fiber optic sight, I would have much rather had something more solid. Personally, I think like a gold bead or something like that, which I do have, and I know it's just as simple as you know, replacing that. I don't know if I'm gonna do it myself or take it to a gunsmith. I mean, I know I could do it myself easily if it was any other gun with a price tag that wasn't quite as heavy as this. I'd probably attempt to do it myself, but I'm always afraid of scratching something or you know, gouging something up. So yeah. But other than that, this thing does perform exactly what you want it to do. So the serrations on the top, you know, I do like that. It gives it just that nice touch. And I know that that's what they were kind of going for when they did these. You know, they wanted to do, you know, just add a few extra things to it. So I think that's a nice touch. And so is the flush cut muzzle there, the barrel to the bushing. I think that's just phenomenal. That looks just great. I love the fact it's just a standard you know, guide rod thing. You know, there's no I'm not a big fan of the ones that the full-length guide rods or anything like that. You know, of course the fit and finish is just superb. We talked a lot about that in the very first video with this. So this is a question of whether I think it's worth it or not. Do I have buyer's remorse, anything like that? Absolutely not. After owning this gun and firing it and checking it out, I think it's worth every dollar that you spend on them. Also, that being said, note taken, that I'm glad I purchased this at this point in my you know, just 1911 experience. I've had quite a few of them in my hands. I got quite a few collectible ones that I like, that I'll still take out and shoot and everything like that. But I'm glad that I didn't just like really with not a whole lot of knowledge on 1911s. I still don't know a ton of knowledge on it. I know enough to be dangerous to my own bank account, but as you can see but I'm glad that I made the decision much later, because it made me appreciate certain things about it. It made me appreciate certain things about the craftsmanship of it and everything. I'm not a big fan of the ambi safety, even though I'm left-handed, but I basically just shoot these things right-handed anyhow. But I do like this one. It's low enough, it's small enough profile, and I think they talked about that, to where it doesn't make much of a difference. It doesn't protrude or anything like that. And that's been always my biggest gripe about them. I don't like the safeties where they're just excessively large. No, I'm just not a big fan of that. It's just a personal preference, remember that. But yeah, everything about it I really like. I can see, I've never really had 1911s with the front strap checkering like this. Always been more of a traditional guy, so that I can tell right away what, you know, that was a big help. And I can see why they actually outfitted originally with these grips. These are like a G10 grip, and they're really aggressive. And I can actually now, after checking them out with the, I went with the Starburst Cocobolo grips that I like. That's just because I like the wood. I can see why they, you know, why some sort of traction is important on this thing. And I do have the burl wood ones, as you can see, and have you seen other videos with it. But I can see why you want some sort of traction here, although I love the smooth burl look of the wood. But that traction really helps you with the shooting this thing, because I found myself getting carried away and shooting rather fast with it. I really did. I just found myself wanting to just keep shooting faster and faster. And I tell you right now that I know that can't really, it does not much on the film here, but that trigger pull is just, it's right between, you know, I don't like them super light. I got a gold cup that's fairly light. It's lighter than this, but I feel like this is good enough to where, you know, you're not going to accidentally, you know, fire a round off or anything like that. So there's a lot of features I like. I love their, you know, kind of a lower profiled on the side release. It's large enough to make a difference, but you know, small profiled enough to make it still streamlined. I gotta say, I can't say enough about that. The extended magazine release. Now, it's not overly extended, but it's slightly larger than the standard ones, and I tell you, that makes the world of difference. I don't know what it is. I didn't think in the end it really mattered all that much, but that's one of my favorite features on this thing. I've gotten so used to that when I go back and shoot my other ones, it's like I go back and forth. I'm like, I gotta have that. I'm thinking I'm gonna have to buy a couple more of those to put it on my other shooters. So anyhow, does it actually do as advertised? That is what I've done with it at 15 feet. I know that's not a ton of yardage or, you know, feet away or anything like that, but the gun is very accurate. It's a lot more accurate than I will ever be, but it will do that. That's a magazine each. So anyway, let's dive into the internals of it and check that out. So do appreciate everything. Appreciate everybody watching and everything, but let's dive into what the internals look like. Alright, so welcome back to this portion of the video where this is the Wilson Combat, the CQB, everything taken apart. And I went through this. This is the first time I've actually gone through this one. In basically, I think we're right around the over 1,000 round mark for sure. Certainly over 1,000 rounds, definitely through this thing. And you know, there you can see now, with all the wear patterns and everything, where have I seen some wear and what do they mean and all that. So we got some wear right around here, kind of, I guess this is where they call the saddle, where the barrel fits in there, and then, you know, of course, obviously the wear patterns on the rails and everything like that. So that also tells you where you should be oiling and putting the lubrication on these things. So inside the frame and everything, it's just unbelievable. You can run your finger all inside through here. Obviously, when you take a look at it through everything, there's just no wear or machining marks. There's just nothing. I've seen so many different 1911s I've owned. You get inside these things and you look around, and there's a lot of machining and tooling marks, especially over here on the bottom of this thing right here. But all the edges, there's no sharp edges. I mean, everything is just superbly polished and everything. Everything is all snug and tight. Of course, you know, that thing, when you're looking at these things, taking them apart, check and make sure your plunger tube here that holds everything is nice and sturdy. It should feel all as one piece, because if that starts coming loose on you and then that one pin, you know, comes out, it could cause problems. Slide. Yeah, I took out the extractor and everything, and it's always good to get in there and clean out that channel down in there, because debris and all that's where it loves to collect. And there's the extractor and everything, you can see. And it's kind of interesting to take some of these parts out and actually see where they've filed on, or kind of you know, either maybe fitted. But even on those parts, you know, there's really not a whole lot of you know, markings left behind and all that. So for the most part, everything is going to look real straightforward, but I got to tell you, there's just something about, I know we haven't gotten that far in technology, where you can feel just every part of these all the pieces. They just have a certain feel to them, a certain weight. I know it sounds like I'm just kind of making this up, but I got to say, I'm not some kind of virtuoso in 1911s, but I've handled quite a few of them, shot at quite a few of them, and owned different ones. And all the parts on this thing, it just seems to be just so well done. And of course, they're all the what Wilson calls the bulletproof parts, which means they're all machined out of one piece of steel. Here's the trigger. You can see a little bit. I don't know if that was done the way they do it, where they're just fitting it, or if it was just by me. And of course you got the over travel and the stirrup itself. And I've seen this before where they've leaned out the stirrups on these things, or that's they're not like the old school ones, I guess, if you consider that now old school. So pretty cool. The sear spring, it was interesting. I saw these little, wear marks on that, and like kind of either chipped away, or I don't know what kind of a finish is on this, but it's kind of it looks like a bright blue finish, literally blue on that. And so also the grip screws and everything, they all have these little O-ring washers on them. That's kind of neat. They're all set, and then of course they're slotted, which I like. I didn't change anything out, didn't do any kind of nothing. This is actually the first time I've seen all the parts. The sear and disconnector are just smooth as silk. It's super smooth, and that trigger pull is unbelievable on this thing. And there's the hammer. The hammer's got that smaller, I don't know if you can see it there, that smaller notch there, which I've seen that on a gold cup, Colt Gold Cup, and so that's kind of interesting to see that, and you can see where they've polished it and all that. The ambi safety, which I know is this is part of the package deal when you get the I guess the elite model, but this is this slides together kind of differently than what I've seen normally other ones. You can see them kind of go into each other there. They slide into each other. Kind of interesting design, different, very different. That's their bulletproof design there. It was kind of a interesting way to get this apart. That was not easy. So if you're looking to venture off into doing that on your Wilson, it's a little difficult. So you got to kind of get a, which it kind of freaked me out. I don't like doing that kind of stuff. But as this is on the frame, you have to get a screwdriver and put it in the middle of that slot right there and pry it out. I actually went and put a business card between the frame and everything, just so I didn't scratch it up, because I didn't want anything like that to happen. All the pins, everything else is straightforward. The magazine release, I gotta tell you, I never was once a big fan of like the super extended magazine releases, but this is somewhere in the middle. This is not totally extended, but it is extended enough to where it makes a huge difference. And now that I've had this, I've been using this, I'm a huge fan of this. Absolutely. I'm going to be trading out my one on my Springfield for one of those, because I've gotten so used to it, how it operates on this versus that. The grip safety, you can see that is a different shape and contour to me than what I've normally seen. So that's kind of interesting. And of course, again, just everything just super smooth, all just. And now you can see also, I've had this for a while, you can see how the finish is being holding up and everything. Even including the magazine well, it's a one-piece operation with the housing, and the well is all part of it now, which is amazing because they blend this to the bottom of the frame just superbly. And you can see as magazines going in and out of there, the finish is held up really well. This is a really whopper piece of metal right here. Everything is just so pretty awesome. But yeah, that's all one piece of steel, they say. So the cap and everything. Firing pin. I don't know if this is one of their more of a lighter weight ones or not. It feels lighter. I think it probably is like I think of the titanium model. I could be wrong, but there. And then it came with the shock buff. That's the same shock buff that it came with. I've been running it. You can see it hasn't chewed it up too bad. It's got some dimpling on it, but not too bad. Of course, the bulletproof guide rod there. Standard round wire spring. I know they've been talking a lot about the flat wire springs. This is the same spring that the guns come with. I know I'm trying to keep track of the round count so I can change this out when the appropriate time and everything. So that's the actual. You can see it's not too deformed or anything. There's your plunger tubes, and of course the barrel bushing, and you can see the way it matches up there. It's just amazing. Gotta love that. Yeah. The barrel is actually Wilson Combat. It's got 10-19 on the bottom, maybe assuming that's when they made the barrel, in October of 2019 perhaps. So yeah, the roll marks are fairly subtle, you know, not too crazy, not like a billboard across the side of it. And then they got their logo on the back, and of course the site's marked and everything. Serrated tops. If I was gonna nitpick and complain about anything, the one thing I would complain about is I'm not a big fan of the fact that it's just a fiber optic front sight. Even though those are easier for me to see, I much rather had the gold bead front sight. And again, I didn't order this from Wilson. I walked right into a shop that had one out here, and I just bought it. You know, put it on layaway and did the thing. It's a pretty big, expensive purchase. I'm definitely not somebody that has a lot of money, so this was a huge purchase for me. And I can tell you this from my standpoint, it is worth it. It was worth it. I do not have any kind of buyer's remorse or anything like that, or regret. I think this gun was 100% worth it.